this lady just like stood there trying to argue with me. And in my head, I'm like, I'm in so much pain right now. I just want to like cuss you out and leave. And so like, this goes to say that like sometimes people will undermine what you're feeling. Mm-hmm. People will undermine your traumas. People will undermine your pain and what you're feeling. Mm-hmm. But it's okay to tell them that like, no, that's what you think, but this is how I feel. Like, this is my body, and it is definitely up to me to tell you the symptoms and not you to reverse them otherwise. So as a woman, like, you are your number one advocate. You have to be able to advocate for yourself. You are your body's owner. You understand yourself more than any doctor, more than any man can ever understand you. And so if you are feeling a certain way, you just gotta go and like fight for yourself. Tell your doctor, like, you know what, I don't think this is right. Maybe do your own research, but don't do too much of your own research, because if you do,
dangerous.
It might be a little dangerous. You're gonna get depressed. But yeah. So
go to a professional. Is what we're saying.
Yeah, go to a professional. Get the help that you deserve. Yeah, and it could be anything too. It could be, you know, just you're mentally exhausted all the time. It could just be anything that's not normal to you or to your standards. Just seek a professional advice, I believe. It definitely doesn't have to be just your female reproductive system, which is very important because, hey, if you
that's
want
how we
to
expand the population.
have kids someday, even if it's not today, even if it's not 5 years from now, and that's something you're looking forward to like doing, then my dear sister, take care of down there.
Yeah,
prevent anything, prioritize it, and prevent anything bad from happening to it, because, you know, you drink a lot of water because you don't want to get a headache, and you eat healthy so that you don't get sick. Do the same thing for your reproductive system.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is eye-opening. So, Tulia.
Yes, Mama.
And actually, I wanna do a fun thing right here. So, Tulia speaks Swahili. I speak Swahili.
Yeah.
And your name, I want you to say what your name means, because that's a Swahili name.
It means calm down. I'm not very calm.
I love it. So, what's the history behind the name?
Jamani, no.
No, we're not going there.
No, I was named after my aunt, so it's a namesake. I'm a namesake. Yeah, I was named after my aunt, and why they gave her the name, I don't know. But I've been told by some of my mentors that I am very calming.
Yeah.
Although I know I'm not.
Internally?
But internally, they say that I'm a very calm person because I bring solutions to problems. I can go to a place and it's burning fire and people don't know what to do. Immediately, I start thinking of like, what can we do to take out the fire?
Yeah.
So I'm a solution bringer,
yeah.
which is why he says I'm calmness.
Yeah.
It's good to know that, but I don't know.
Okay, no, that's
I've always been told.
See, and it goes with your name, calmness.
I've always been told that, like, once I tell people, like, they're Swahili speakers, my name is Tulia, they'll be like, eh? Like, you know, Tulia. So, it was nice to hear someone, like, acknowledge my calmness.
Yes, you have a calm demeanor with you. Even, you know, I watch your shows and how you conduct your interviews.
Yamani.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard that I have a calm demeanor. Yes.
Add that on your resume. Hi everyone, and welcome to Conversational Lounge Media. I am your host, Trudy Carlson, and today we have an amazing guest because the topic that we're going to talk about is something concerning women, and every one of us each and every one of you has someone, a friend, a coworker, a parent, an auntie, just you have some relations with women. But do we know enough about women health? Do we know enough about women in our lives? So this topic today, that's what we're going to be covering. And my guest today is Tulia, who is an educator. She is also a host at Emo Talk show. So if you haven't checked our workout, hey, what are you still waiting for? Just navigate over, go see her work. She is doing amazing work out there. She has a passion for healing through bringing really provocative, thought-provoking conversations in the African diaspora and African community in general. So that is exactly why we have this discussion today, and I cannot wait to just get into the topic and get real dirty into the real conversations. So without further ado, please help me welcome our next guest, Tulia. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you so much for having me here. I love the intro. Jeez.
She says.
Thank you. That was lovely. I'm so glad to be here. And yes, women, I'm very passionate about women. I'm passionate about children. Mm-hmm. But most importantly, today we're talking about women. So yeah.
Yes, I love it. So for those who don't know you or haven't been lucky like me to to know you, who is Tulia?
Tulia is a Bembe tribeswoman from Congo. She is very passionate about serving her community. I am an educator. I love working with the youth. They are the future. Well, they are the present and the future. And I just like being a part of that change, a part of history making. So, yeah.
Wow, powerful.
Thank you. Yeah.
So what was going through my mind about this topic today is why this topic, and why do you think it's important that us as women, or just anyone in general, to be well versed or just understand about the female reproductive system?
I think that the women's reproductive system is one that needs to be studied a little bit more. It's one that we have to be more informed about. And as an African woman, I come from a background where we're not the talk of town. We are not the center of attention. And so society doesn't care whether or not we are healthy in there. And our reproductive system is one that's looked at as the pillar of the African family, and yet no one takes care of no one takes care of that system. It comes with so many things, so many to know, so much stuff to know that we need to get to know, but like nobody takes the time to like teach us. Growing up as an African child, like having my period, no one prepared me for that. I didn't know what it was until like it came around, and I'm like, oh, what the hell is this? So like there's just so many things that we don't get to learn about ourselves. And as you become an adult, you start to realize like, oh, dang, like this is important to me. And so for me, I think particularly for me as a woman, I've started to take it serious in my adult life that like, I have to take preventative measures to take care of my well-being, whether it be mentally, physically, and one of those being my reproductive system, doing yearly checkups. It's not something, and I'm not coming at Africans, but like African immigrants and refugees in the States don't do annual checkups. I live in Des Moines, and we have a big population of Congolese people. And you talk to someone, they'll say, oh, I've been feeling this. Have you gone to the hospital? No. I'll just take Tylenol. But you don't know what it is that's wrong with you. And so for me, this is an important topic because children are important to me. I want someday to have my own kids. And so if I'm going to bring kids into this world, the place in which they are going to be before they enter the world is my reproductive system. And if I'm not taking care of it, can I even have them? You know? And it's also important to me because the infertility in the African community is seen as a taboo. Like, a woman cannot be infertile. And if they are, it's a shameful thing, you know? But there's a lot of infertility that can be avoidable if we take care of our reproductive system. Thumbs up there for now.
That's wow. Yeah, that's deep. No, and I really do like that you bring up, you know, a good point when you say that, you know, most women, especially in the African, you know, in our culture or, you know, African society, especially here, that we tend to wait till something's broken or something's amiss for us to go to the doctor. And I think it's also stemming from, I remember growing up, I don't recall just going to the doctor to check something unless the school stated, okay, you need to go get checked and then you have to have this boxes checked. Then we would go get those physicals and then go. But just randomly, just as a family going to the doctor to get checked, I feel like that was something that I had to learn here.
Right.
That, oh, yep, you do your annuals or just make sure everything is right. So I think that is a powerful message that we don't always have to wait until something's, you know, something's really amiss for us to go, you know, see a doctor or just get, you know, just know what's going on in your system.
Yeah. And I think that, like, our cultures also, like, make it so that, like, that's not, like, our culture isn't built in a way that, like, annuals are normalized. You see, in the American culture, they tell you, oh, you gotta go to the dentist like twice a year, or like your annuals once a year. Like, that's embedded into their cultures here in the US. But like back home, well, I would say, like, for me specifically, I came from a place where, like, medical care is inaccessible to me. And if I go, the only thing they're going to give me is para, which is like painkillers. Anything I take with me, I get painkillers for. Like, I could tell them, like, I have, I don't know, like, I think I have like a something ingrowing here, and they would say, oh, just take painkillers, you'll be fine. You know?
Wow.
So, and I'm not speaking for all African experiences, because the African experience is vast. I will always say that. And so, particularly where I was raised in a refugee camp, we didn't have access to healthcare. Like, that was not something that was accessible to us. However, what I'd like to say to our people is that we are now in the abroad. Everything, like, here, you don't have to have money with you in hand for you to get the care that you need. You can go to the doctor, make sure that you're getting your physicals done. And when you go for your physical, advocate for yourself. Tell your doctor, like, hey, we have breast cancer in our family. This whole myth in our cultures where, like, you cannot be telling out loud your family's medical history, it's a lie. Because why would you not share with your doctor your medical history? Like, who else to better take care of the concerns that you have about anything that might have happened in your family history a long time ago than your doctor, right? So it's just important to, like, be open, be vulnerable. Like, I worry about breast cancer. We've had it in our family. So, like, I'm worried about that, and I'm worried about this. But when we're talking about, like, just the female reproductive system, like, it is so crucial for women to, like, get themselves checked in there. Don't just get, like, a regular physical and be done with it. No, do your pap screening. Make sure that's getting done on the yearly. I think now it's like every 5 years. Get that done. If you need to get like a ultrasound, like a vaginal ultrasound, to look into your uterus and how everything is set up in there, do that. Tell them, give me pictures. I want to see how it looks like. Because that's the most, like, I don't know. I just feel like we put a big emphasis on children in our community. Like, children are so important. Marriage is seen as a continuation of lineage, like making sure that your lineage continues. So how are you going to make sure all of this happens if you're not good down there? Like,
wow, yeah.
you just can't. You just can't. And the only way to know is to get those checkups done. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That is eye-opening, because I'm still struggling on the part that, if nothing, the saying, if nothing's broken, don't fix it. And then there's also some fear element to it, is, someone can say, I'm doing fine right now. I don't want to go to the doctor and be told something's terrible.
Well,
whether you get told it,
whether you get told it or not, something is still wrong. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, you could sit and be like, I'm fine. But like, there are things like that'll come up in your body, and like, you may not notice it right away. And it might take time for you to like notice it. And when you finally do, what if it's too late then?
Yeah.
I've seen, you say like, why choose this topic? Like, for me, I have seen, I've seen more and more women come out, whether it be on social media or like people that are closer to me, come up and say, they found out that I have endometriosis. And I'm like, well, how'd you know to go get checked up for that? I've been having really bad periods, and are people like, womanhood, and I don't know about how it is for you, but in my culture, man, as a woman, they tell you to be strong.
I like the way it's headed. I have a follow-up for that.
You just gotta be strong. I'm from a family where like we can be vulnerable with each other, and so like that hasn't always been the message I've been given. But like, I've seen in other homes where it's like, you can't, like, people don't have to know that you're on your period in your household. Like, your brothers don't need to know. You just need to get up, cook, and keep it going like everything is okay. In our household, it was like that for the longest time, and then it was my turn to become a woman. And I remember like telling my mom, like, I can't be in the kitchen. I'm in a lot of pain right now. And my mom like was like, oh, it's okay, yeah, you don't have to do anything. She saw how we were struggling, and a lot of like my family, everybody has like really bad periods. However, a few years back,
like bad as in cramping,
like just really bad menstrual cramps. And they came a time in my life where like, once my period begins, I can't even go to work.
Wow.
And I could no longer be silent about it. Like, I had to tell my boss, like, yo, this is happening, and I'm not gonna be at work at least once a month because I have to take care of me. And the older I became, the worse it got. And I'm like, okay, this is no longer normal. Like, I remember like last year when things just went everywhere. It was like, my legs were swollen up, my chest was paining me, like the cramps were so sharp, they were so bad. And I'm like, Ma, I called my mom, I say, Mom, like, I've been drinking aloe vera. Like, how people say, drink bitter things, they'll help you with your periods. And I've been doing that. I'm like, what is happening? That day I could not get up. So I say, you know what? let's leave it. Anyways, back to the message of like how our people just teach us to like be strong. Yes, be strong, but like every person has their limits. There's some pains that you can bear and some that you cannot. Do not overwork your body by saying like, oh, I'm meant to be strong. Well, who said you can also be weak? You know, like what's wrong with
support?
Needing support? What's wrong with you not being well, not being yourself? And so I came to a realization that no, this is no longer normal. My body acts up, but not like this. I need to get checked. And when I finally did go, I remember the nurse practitioner that I was dealing with was like, you're fine. Like nothing is wrong with you. You are okay. And I was like, no, I'm not. And at that time I was in so much pain. I'm like, I don't want to argue with you, but I'm not okay. Like, I am not okay. So doctors sometimes, nurses and doctors will sometimes make you feel like they'll disregard you. They will disregard the pain that you're in and think that, well, tell you that you're fine. And I've seen it time and time over again. I remember like Serena Williams talking about the pain tolerance and how the doctors think we should be able to bear more pain because we're Black.
Yes. Like Black women magically have a higher pain tolerance. No, we just persevere because we've been told to act strong. So no,
I don't want to act strong.
No,
I am hurting.
Right.
And like, so I had to advocate for myself, and I was like, yep, I want you to give me, to get a request for me to get like a vaginal testing because I want to know what's going on in there. And I want it now. And she was like, oh, we don't need to request all of that because you're fine based off of like what we're seeing. You're okay.
And what were they seeing exactly?
Oh, they did like a bacterial testing. They did like an infection testing. They took my pee and all of this, and they were like, oh, based off of this, like you don't have an infection, like you're fine. And I was like, yeah, but I don't think it's like it has to do with my pee. I think it has to do with something in there. And this lady just like stood there trying to argue with me. And in my head, I'm like, I'm in so much pain right now. I just want to like cuss you out and leave. And so like, this goes to say that like sometimes people will undermine what you're feeling. People will undermine your traumas. People will undermine your pain and what you're feeling. But it's okay to tell them that like, no, that's what you think, but this is how I feel. Like, this is my body, and it is definitely up to me to tell you the symptoms and not you to reverse them otherwise. And so like I did that and ended up like finding out I had a fibroid. And in my African mind, Trudy, I was like, I want to go back to that lady and be like, you see now? You wanted me to just stay with pain.
Right.
To not get treatment because you didn't want to do your job, Abby. So, but I didn't. I didn't do that. I'm not that petty.
But seriously though, but I'm glad we're talking about it because how many women out there are being told right now that they're just fine?
Yeah.
Despite what their bodies are telling them.
And like if you get told you're fine and you're not feeling fine, dude, tell that
whoever is telling you that.
Whoever that it is my body. I know my body. I was born with it. I've been raised with it. Like, how can you tell me that what I feel is inadequate? You know, like, no.
And do you think that, as an example, do you think cramps are normal? Or could it be an indication of something underlying?
Depending on the cramps that you're getting, it could definitely be an indication. I've always had bad cramps. There are women with bad menstruals, and it's normal. But like, if you are that woman with the bad cramps from the very early ages, but then you get to a point where it's like it no longer feels the way it used to feel when you first started, it's turned into something completely abnormal, a woman knows when they are not okay. And so if it gets to that point, you need to get yourself checked. But more than anything, what I would say and wish that I would have done growing up was my annual checkup and asking my doctors to check me clearly and not just doing a pap exam and telling me your ovaries are okay.
Yeah.
This is okay.
Like a swab here, swab there.
Yeah. You know, like if they could have gone more in depth, then maybe I would have found my fibroid when it was less than a centimeter. But no, it had been growing. And all the years I thought that, oh, my period has gotten bad.
Yeah.
No. It was somebody growing in there that wasn't supposed to be growing in there. You know, so when you have a tumor here and a tumor isn't supposed to be part of your uterus, and so now when it starts to grow in there, it's tearing something that was supposed to be closed up. And so when your period is hurting as much as it is, your cramps are being that sharp, it's something is happening to your uterus and it's not normal. So more than anything, just be very careful about like your yearly checkups. Yeah, like take care of that. That's what I would say.
Thank you for bringing that topic, to be honest, because it's, out of sight, out of mind. You, when you look around, every one of us knows a woman somewhere, or a girl, or just a woman, a female, or anyone that identifies as. So when you think about it, I think it's the thing that comes with the title, where we're the protectors of everybody. We take care of everyone, to a point of who's taking care of us.
Nobody.
So I think because of that, we've taken our reproductive health or any other health for that matter in the back burner, so we can come and take care of everybody else and everything else. So I really like that you are vulnerable and you're opening up and talking about like, hey guys, let's take a pause. Let's talk about this issue, because it's making me realize that if it's another woman that would have been in that office that day, that it wasn't you, they would have accepted that you're fine, go home, only to realize years later when it's too late. So I'm really glad that you're opening these conversations.
And for me, I think in that moment when that had happened to me, all I kept thinking about was the women who cannot speak English. You're in a hospital, you're in a doctor's office, and they tell you, dismiss what you're feeling, and they tell you like, you're fine. And of course, who doesn't want to hear they're fine? You know what I mean? You want to hear you're fine, but it needs to be that you're fine and truly are fine, and not that you're being dismissed of the pain that you're feeling. And I kept thinking of those women that cannot speak English, are in an office, maybe with an interpreter on the phone, and they get told that an interpreter is just doing their job. They're not going to tell you like, unawakika ni kweli. They're not going to ask you like, are you sure? Yeah. And also, they don't have the language to advocate for themselves. And like I said, the interpreter is just doing their job. And so they're just trying to get paid. Like, they're not there for you, So yeah, that's all I kept thinking about. And I was just like, I can just imagine. And then the other thing is, in this country too, depending on the health insurance that you have.
Yep, that's a major one.
Depending on the health insurance that you have, you can easily be dismissed, disregard.
Because it won't cover.
Because you're not has covered. Like I've seen people with Obamacare, people with Medicaid, just overlooked because they don't have the insurance that pays the hospital that much, like that well. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I kid you not, like I called Iowa Clinic one time. I was trying to change my family doctor, and I said, I'd like to see one of your family doctors and see if they'd be a good fit for me. For some reason, in my folder, they had that AmeriCorps was my secondary insurance. It's not. I don't know why they had it. But they were like, oh, you can't be covered here with that. Just because it was my secondary, it wasn't even my first. Like, it wasn't my primary one. It was my secondary, and they said, we can't take you as a new client.
Is it because the doctor was outside the network of the insurance coverage?
And yet, like, AmeriCorps is part of Medicaid. And so, like, Medicaid isn't covered by every hospital in the state. However, like, I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it's covered everywhere, like literally everywhere.
Oh, I heard that's a really good insurance.
So it's like, I just feel for the people like who don't make enough income. Like, they're probably on Medicaid, and nobody's gonna listen to them because they look at their insurance and they're like, you can't even pay us that well, so why should we take care of you? So as a woman, there's so many barriers, but we have to like advocate for ourselves. Like, even if people aren't willing to listen to us, we have to still talk.
So, Tulia, is there anything that you'd like to share with the audience that maybe I didn't get a chance to ask you, but you'd really like to, expound or talk more about?
No, not much, but I just like to emphasize on the fact that, like, it is so important to get your annual checkup. Do an extensive one if you need to. Make sure that you're having conversations with your doctor, that you're not just going there and like coming out of the hospital, of the doctor's office because you had to go. No, have conversations. Like, I like to tell people I'm a researcher. I do family background. I'm always asking my grandparents, like, what's in our family bloodline? What kind of illnesses have you seen, like, appear, take people into death? Like, what have you seen? Because many things can be avoided. A lot of things can be prevented, but once it has gotten worse, there's not much that can be done about it. So have the conversations of your doctor and be open. Please, African people, learn to be vulnerable. Learn to be transparent with the people that care for you. Yes, your doctor may just be getting your money, but at the same time, his job is to eat your money and give you good health. So tell them about your family medical history. This is what I've seen. I'm not sure what this was, but it was like this. Just try and like explain those things to them so that they can tell you what things you can do to prevent that, or they can also keep they can watch out for like symptoms of the same diseases, just a lot of stuff. But yeah, have those conversations with your doctor, and also these misconceptions, like, please, infertility doesn't just come. I don't think that there's many women in the world who are just born with infertility. Like, they're born, their womb is closed. Like, they don't, it's closed. I don't think that there's many women that are like that. However, if more and more women are getting checked up, I feel that there's some infertilities that happen to women that can be avoided. If a woman, I was listening to a story of a woman on a podcast that had 100 fibroids. Because they had 100 fibroids, their uterus was ruined. They can no longer have a child. And we all know not having a child is associated with shameness, which it shouldn't be, by the way. But this woman, she wanted to have a child so bad. And like, if only she had found out earlier that she had these things growing inside of her, it could have been prevented, you know? So yeah, that's all I can say. I think that we covered most of it.
Wow, no, that's deep. It's, you know, just also, you know, if someone, you know, maybe someone, you know, didn't catch it earlier, you know, for your example, or maybe there's other reasons why, you know, someone is not able to have a child. You know, it could be a tough place to be in, especially if you really want that baby. So I think, you know, people like that, they still need a lot of support, a lot of love, and then also, you know, exploring other options. You know, like having a surrogate, for instance. Just, you know, anything that would work for them, or adapting. But then at the end of the day, really, I feel like that's such a personal decision to make. You know, it's between someone and their own, it's between that woman and sometimes maybe that woman with their family. So, you know, we just want to acknowledge that we understand that this journey is very personal. But again, acknowledging your advice that as women, we need to put ourselves first and take that first step to go see a doctor and start that journey of maintaining your wellness.
One thing that I just thought of as you were saying that, for the women that, like, there's some women during their adulthood, they find out that, like, you know, maybe I have endometriosis, or maybe I have these fibroids and they're growing. There's nothing that we can do about it right now. I just like to say that, like, if a child is something that's important to you, it is okay to ask for the support, to ask for the advice from the doctors, from the professionals in your life, and making sure that, like, let's say if it is, you know, freezing your eggs, for example, to make sure that, like, this child will be yours. Or even so, you know, like, at the end of the day, like, that's a personal decision, but look into adopting. Like, there's so many kids in the world that do need parents, and they're just there. You know? So if you do ever, like, if you're someone going through this phase, anything similar to what we've talked about, like, maybe we'll never get it. Maybe we'll never get it. Only you will know how it is for you. And however, it is okay to ask for support of people around you. And now, back to the African community. We lack support so much. We have not been taught to be vulnerable. And because we haven't been taught to be vulnerable, when people are vulnerable with us, we don't know what to do. We need to learn how to take care of people in vulnerable states. If someone comes to you and they entrust you with something that's hurting them, especially if it has anything to do with their reproductive system, it's none of your business going to go tell the whole village that, you know, that person trusted you with that information. And so let's learn to take care of each other as women, especially as women, because I feel like we sometimes fail to, like, be there for one another, knowing that that could have been you. And that's how I live my life. I always think, like, this could be me. So, yeah.
Wow. Now, that's very powerful. It's very powerful. And because you never know what someone else is going through. So the best thing you can do is just show grace and support and love. So, with that note,
that was long. I'm so sorry, you guys.
On that note, if someone's watching this, you know, segment and they're truly inspired by your story or your bravery, for that matter, what type of advice would you have for such a person?
Do you give yourself love? Give yourself love. Like, you are so important in this world. Like, you matter so much. And regardless of like what anyone is saying to you or what you are saying to yourself, you matter. Like, the Creator was not crazy bringing you into this world. And so give yourself the same grace that you give others. Yeah, I think that we don't do that enough. And it's important. As a woman, we're nurturers. We nurture everybody else around except for ourselves. So it's okay to give yourself grace. It is okay to give yourself love. It is okay to remind yourself that you matter. Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Wow. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming to Conversational Lounge Media and sharing your story. So before I let you go, however, as a parting shot, if someone, because we've already talked about your Emo Talk show, but if someone wants to get a hold of you or just, follow what you're doing, how could they get a hold of you?
Please, y'all, come over. I am on Emo Talk show on Instagram. Okay, we don't have a Snap. On Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube under the same name. I don't know if she'll put it under here, but if she does, she'll put it like right here. Please follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have so much coming out soon. And yeah, I can't wait to like have you as part of our family.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. And I cannot wait for you guys to go over and subscribe to Emo Talk Show. And as you're doing that, don't forget to subscribe to Conversational Lounge Media. So, again, if this message spoke to you or someone that you know, please go ahead and share, because you never know what one person will, you can impact someone else's life, or just someone's story can speak to someone and change a whole dynamic. So let's play our roles and share the stories. We bring to you impactful conversations, intentional conversations. That way, as a society, we can all learn, we can all connect, mentor, and inspire each other. So until next time, see you next time. And if you need to learn more, navigate over to withtrudy.com and you'll find everything that we've been working on. So thank you so much and have a great day.